So, I go to fire camp at 16. Fast forward 2 years. I'm in 2 cadet programs. I'm finishing high school. I just tested and got into a sleeper program. And I remember the exact moment of where I was when I got your text saying that you had interviewed and gotten the job with your fire department.
Are you serious?
And I remember sitting there and looking at my phone and being like, I don't know if she knows what she's getting herself into. So, like, what was that like, that first week for you, when you go in there and you're like, you really didn't know what you were getting into?
I have the exact opposite experience of you, where I did not know what a coupling was. I didn't know if there was like a whole language around the fire service. It was so overwhelming. Like, by far the most overwhelming thing I've ever done. And I remember especially being the only woman in my class made it tough, because here all these other dudes like had experience. I think I was only one of 3 who had zero experience.
How many were in your class?
There were 12.
12. Okay.
And then on top of that, I was the only female, so I felt like I was just so far behind the curve that I didn't know if I would ever catch up. And this, I think, is what's going to make our podcast this season so interesting, because I think we'll be able to very clearly show, like, there's so much retention issues around women in the fire service, because the traditional path has been what I experienced, where you don't have mentors, you go in not really knowing what the career is going to be like. Meanwhile, you, from a young age, like, as a teenager, that's the prime time for, like, skill building.
Yeah.
And you have these experiences and then enter a career basically fully set up. Yeah. I freaking love that. So, us having the opportunity to see those contrasts side by side, I think is going to be really, really fun this season.
Yeah.
And talking about just everything that goes along with that, connection and mentorship and the generation gap, what's different, but also what's similar.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the differences are really going to be highlighted, because I did have a lot of help along the way. I had a lot of encouragement. I had a lot of role models and people that I could look up to. And that changed once I got into the sleeper program. It was more of me on my own. But I had those people that I could still text or hear from or visit when I came home and be like, yo, this is rough. Like, how did you get through it? And they really helped, like, push me along. But you didn't have any of that.
Yeah. So I think it'll give the opportunity for, like, kind of inspiring hope that all of these women prior to us in the fire service having to pave the way, you know, and be like way makers, so to speak, really has set the next generation up in a way that lends to more support and success, I think.
Yeah.
Even like in a little bit of an easier way.
I'd agree with that. Yeah. It's been very clear to me throughout my journey of getting into fire that the opportunities that I've had to do well and excel and to be accepted as a woman have only come because of the people who came behind me. And the women who were in my academy and the women that I've met along the way, my age, as we've been getting into this career, it has been a little easier for us. We've still had some of, like, the same challenges of the people who came before us, but they have just, like, morphed over the generation, and I'm excited to see how things are going to be different the next generation that I can inspire. And watch how things change, because things are so different now than they were when you started and when the people who trained you started. And it's been cool, like, to see that difference.
Yeah. I think that this podcast will be a very interesting and inspiring maybe platform for women who are in the fire service already to go to their departments and say like, hey, let's do a girls fire camp program.
Yeah.
Let's establish more mentoring in this sphere so that we can have really successful female firefighters, because as we explored on the last season, women bring so much and so much different to the job in a way that like is really valuable and is really needed. So with that,
let's get into it.
But before we do that, I think it's really important to establish why you're here. So new season, new co-host.
New co-host.
And I was really intrigued by the idea of bringing you onto the podcast because
elephant in the room.
You're my baby sister.
Rah, rah.
So we have 16 years apart. I got people in the grocery store telling me how adorable my baby was.
I mean, to be fair, I was pretty cute.
Yeah, I mean,
I was
you
pretty
were
cute.
An adorable child. But it's gonna be like seeing that we're sisters. We grew up in the same environment. Well, same parents. Not the same environment.
Yeah.
Same parents.
Same parents.
And that somehow we both found our way into this career is really fun. And then also we can drop little not so subtle stories in here about our other fire sister and our brother, who is also a firefighter. So there are 4 of us. And it really never ceases to amaze me that we all have such different paths in establishing our career. So this is going to be fun because we have some snark. We have some overly sweet. And yeah, we'll keep
overly sweet.
Keep it real and honest for people.
Over the top might be a little.
I mean, you know, we gotta have personality. So so let's get into it and just give the audience a really vivid picture of what, especially your story, was in contrast to mine. So, like you mentioned, I had zero experience.
No experience.
Like, I had no clue whatsoever.
I mean, all that you really had was, like, you had 3 sisters, teenagers, go to this fire camp and come home, and then that was all we talked about. And that's really all that you heard was, oh, this, like, rah, female firefighters, like, let's do this, and all this, and might have painted a little bit of a not so truthful picture for you of what you were actually getting into.
Absolutely.
And that's all that you really had to go off of was, oh, this seems really cool, and like, oh, I get to help people, and I mean, the shift schedule can be pretty great and all this, and all that you really saw were like the highlights and the good things and the things that were inspiring to us.
Almost like the idea of having a dog versus having a dog.
Yeah. No, literally.
That was my starting experience.
Yeah, and then you got there and you're like, oh, okay.
Oh, bloody hell.
Yeah, like that first week, like what, like the full spectrum of emotions I'm sure that you were going through. Even that first like month.
Oh yeah. It was a really interesting experience for me with the kind of how some life stuff came together as well. So my partner JD, who's our amazing producer, at the time he was working swing shift. And he worked Monday through Friday, but I was in academy Monday through Thursday. And so here I was working 4 10s, and then he would go to work by 3 p.m. So
you had 4 10s as your schedule?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we had 4 days out of the week where we didn't even see each other. And that was challenging in some ways because, you know, like, stereotypically when a spouse is in academy, the other one's like, okay, like I'll do the cooking, like I'll do kind of some other things, and he was just gone.
Yeah.
So on the one hand, like I didn't get extra rah support in the week when, you know, coming home on a hard day, be like, oh, it was so hard. But at the same time, I was so freaking overloaded and exhausted. I would come home from Academy after an hour commute in traffic and just like lay on the floor for an hour. I was just like, oh my God, this was so much.
What time of the year was your academy? Like,
we started in January, so it was just rainy and wet and gross in the Pacific Northwest.
Wet turnouts every day.
Our academy drill ground literally like faced Mount Hood, so we would get the like eastward winds just smacking us the whole time. And so I had these like crazy long days, an hour commute, and then go home to an empty house. At the same time, I think it was so valuable for me because that Monday through Thursday, I was able to really just say like, what do I need? I wasn't like, oh, let me be home and try to be like here for my partner too. Like, what do they want to do? Like, I was able to really focus.
Yeah.
And for how absolutely overwhelming it was, I was able to do that. I also feel really, really fortunate that even though my class didn't have any women, I had 3 out of 5 women trainers.
Okay.
So I had women who were like 20 years experienced running our academy, and they truly built the academy to be 0 experience required. Okay. So they had someone like me in mind. At the same time, I was 36 when I went through academy. So that age where like your recovery windows, you're getting like wider and wider and wider for what you need. I've never done so much foam rolling in my life.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Like the level of sore. So, having to go through, our academy was structured so that we went through all of the rules and regulations, all of the operational guidelines in like a robust academic curriculum. And then we also had the 8-hour days of constant drilling.
How many months long was your academy?
So Portland is unique in that they have a 6-month academy.
Ew.
So that was 6 months of grueling.
That's a really
4
long time.
It was a very, very long time. I would say one unique difference probably in our experiences were that you went in to your academy knowing you could do everything.
Yeah.
I hadn't touched a ladder. A clothesline.
Yeah.
I had never held a chainsaw, extrication tools. Like I had never touched anything. And so every day, I essentially was trying to answer for myself this question of like, can I do this? And I think the mental framework coming into that was I had to believe I was without any prior evidence that was the case. Versus you went into academy having learned already that you could do, I can force the door. It was just like, let me get better. Yeah. I can back stretch to a hydrant. I'll get faster. And that's probably the thing that I am most jealous about in our contrasting experiences was I had to work so hard, not necessarily like at the job, but at believing that I could do it when I had never seen myself do it before. Yeah,
I can imagine takes a lot of like fortitude to like psych yourself up for it in a way every day, like in academy. If you were the only female in your class, you really didn't really have anyone to like hype you up. I mean, trainers, they help, but like really you had to draw it all from yourself.
Yeah, and that was extremely difficult. I think that one advantage I did have going in was that like I did enjoy physical training, so the aspect that women traditionally struggle with academy and the physicality, I didn't have that issue at all. And so I think that was an asset for me in the sense that my trainers never questioned my like physical capability. It was always about simply like getting reps and then finding maybe the best techniques for my like throwing a ladder or whatnot, but because I was always like in the top third of my class for like the workouts that we did, or you know, like strength or cardio, that was extremely helpful. So I think I was able to draw a little bit from their belief in me, but yeah, not having any other women in the academy, and never seeing, you know, never having anyone else show me the way, so to speak, was really difficult. So I went through academy for that 6 months, and even my trainers said, they were like, you know, academy is kind of like this long runway, and there were there were times that like we didn't know if you would have a long enough runway. They never had disbelief that I could do it. It was just like, do I have enough time? And meanwhile, you were you at Lapine when I was in academy?
Yeah, I think let's see. Yeah, I think you'd maybe been just started academy for a couple of months.
Because that was 2021.
When you started?
Yeah.
Really? Mm-hmm. Oh, then I'd been at Lapine longer than, I'd been at Lapine before then.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got started in that sleeper program in 2019. So
wow,
I thought that you, for some reason, I thought that you had gotten started before me.
No. You were in Lapine.
Okay. Yeah.
Because that would have made, I had a year in before you got your offer, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds, that actually sounds
so that's where it was. So I got started in the career, so to speak, job a year before you did at your department.
Yeah.
So you alluded to having these awesome experiences in fire camp.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine the fun that would have been to see women firefighters doing these things and then be like, okay, here, now you can do it, rah, rah.
Yeah. No, it was insane. Like, I don't think I'd ever felt more empowered up into my life until that moment. That first day of going in fire camp, and I was 16, and I went with our other two sisters, Emily and Abigail, and we got the idea from like a family friend who was a firefighter and who was a male, and he was like, hey, you guys should do like this female fire camp.
Who was that?
Mr. Spatz.
Oh, yeah, shout out.
And we were like, okay, and you know, it was more.
And you had just turned 16, right?
I had literally just turned 16.
Wow.
Yeah. And right after like we moved here from Arizona, so like getting used to being back here, and we show up to fire camp on the first day, and we're all sitting there. We're all like, just big empty classroom. And then, like, they just filed the counselors in, like, one by one, and they all, like, stood around the entirety of, like, this massive conference room, like, just kind of, like, cocooning this group of, I think there were somewhere between, like, 30 and 40 of us girl campers. And, like, you know, they're all in their uniforms, they're all, like, being, like, all stoic and everything, and just, you know, that the cool part was that they weren't all the same age. You know, I saw some girls in there who looked like maybe they were still on probation, and I saw like the senior firefighters who like had clearly been there for like 20 plus years, and having them all just be around us, and it felt like we were being lifted up before we even like knew anything.
Wow. Yeah.
And like in that moment, just knowing like that they had come before us and that they were here for us, really. And what I would give to go back to that weekend, because it was like the probably to this day still one of the coolest things I've ever gotten to do. And
were you scared any of the?
Oh, I was freaking terrified.
Were you really?
Like, I mean,
you just always are like my fearless baby sister, so I have zero like.
I mean, like, you know, you put on a face, like poker face. But like, yeah, like, you know, it was like. When they all came in, like, yeah, it was empowering, and I was, like, awestruck. But it was also, like, not quite fear of God, but, like, oh, my God. Like, it was just pure awe. And, yeah, we just, you know, we got divided into our crews, and we each got assigned, like, our officer. And I still know who mine was, and I text her every now and then. And going from just station to station that weekend and having lunch together and getting to just know other females in the fire service and ask them what their stories were and how they got to what they, like, where they were, how they overcame all their challenges. And even like my officer one day had to leave early because like she had to go pick up her son from school. And it was just like, oh, like you can do both, you know? And even in the beginning, getting that glimpse of it's not just the job for these women. They're juggling other things, and you know, if they can do it, you can do it too if you want to.
What was your like favorite? Do you have a moment that stands out that was like you were like, oh my gosh, I really want to do this at any of the stations or any of the skills?
I really loved ladders.
Are you serious?
And even today, like, ladders are my bitch. Like, I am not afraid. I throw that thing around.
You have never told me this.
It's an extension of
my ladders.
I love ladders. Like, ladder week in academy, it was a breeze. I was having the best time. I was just, like, jogging around with my 24 or my 14, my 16. And I had some other females in my academy. Yeah. One of them had been a volunteer. The other one had family in the fire service. So they weren't like brand new. Okay. But I had like some muscle on them. I had my height as an advantage, my long arms. And so they had different struggles than I did, especially during that ladder week. But ladders were by far
that
I
is
think my favorite
crazy.
one. Yeah.
Well, that makes so much sense why you also did so well.
You know, which is ironic because, like, I love ladders. I don't really like being on them. Like, I don't mind, like, you know, it's so fun to throw them.
I am, like, literally the exact opposite. I mean, ladders are fine, but...
No, like, I love to throw them, carry them, do the whole thing, but, like, it's not my favorite being at the top of one.
Huh.
I could go without that. I'm happy to get it on the wall, and I'll foot it for you, but, you know, go right ahead.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah. So ladders you enjoyed most.
Ladders were
I find it really interesting also that they don't do ladders at girls' camp anymore.
Really?
Why? It's not a...
Huh.
I think they might have replaced it with bailout. But yeah, they don't do... So that's... Wow, that was like such an asset for you.
Yeah.
Something that women are typically more like afraid of. You were like, here I come.
Yeah. That's so interesting.
Yeah. So ladders were your favorite, and then at the end of the experience, that last day was, you know, the days were short, but the moments were long and they were fun, right? And then that last day rolls around and it's just like, you know, it's just like all the feels because you're like, oh my God, like I don't want to leave. Like, you know, these women are so incredible. You feel like you really had a support system like around you, and they weren't going anywhere, you know, but it still felt like hard to know that you were like gonna go back out into the world where, like, you know, we didn't really have those female role models. They're you don't really see them. Like, what's the statistic for like the average number of women in a fire department like
these days?
4 to 5%.
Yeah, and which has gotten better.
And Portland, which has the fire camp, they're closer to 8%. So there's a lot more there.
But yeah, I mean, think about it, like 4 out of 100 women are, or 4, sorry.
Yeah, 4 women out of 100 firefighters, which you actually don't even realize the magnitude of that until you're in a room with 100 firefighters and there are 4 of you.
Yeah, it's true.
And you know, what's really funny too, I've heard literally the argument of not having fire camps because they give that empowerment so strongly that, you know, we presented one year to a union about like giving us money for fire camp. That was so entertaining. And one of the dudes was like, well, I don't know if this is actually beneficial because then women have an idea that isn't accurate of what the fire service will be like, to which you replied.
Yeah, I was like, bro, I'm only here because of that camp. Like.
And also, you were able to take all that learning and just like dive right into success in academy. Like, just because it wasn't the same environment didn't mean that it wasn't going to be a massive part of your success as a female firefighter.
Yeah.
And then when you did go to La Pine and you were in academy, you had so much to draw from.
Well, and I think too, like going back to that, like when we were at the fire camp, I think the part that made it also so like, I don't know the word, so like sacred was that we knew that this was special and that the job is not like this, right? We knew that like you're going into a male-dominated field, you might have another female in your academy, you're most likely gonna be alone, right? And then going out in the drill ground and realizing like, oh, right, yeah, these, you know, this job wasn't designed for females necessarily to succeed, right? Which fire camp showed us how we can do it, which was cool. But when we were in the camp, I think that was another bittersweet part of like that last day of camp was like we knew that was such a special time and that
you knew that you'd never have it again.
We knew we weren't going to have it again. We were under no impression that is what our departments, if we got hired, that's what they were going to look like. There was no one had any impression of that. So like going back to that guy's argument, right? It's like we knew. You know, it's not about giving a false impression. It's about showing girls that they can do it too.
And that's also a really funny point because I chose to only apply for one department. And it was specifically because they had a really high percentage of females. Because you know, like ignorance is bliss. I was so naive in the idea that, well, if there are 8% women, I won't be a trailblazer. And lo and behold, that is not the case. I think probably until you're like in the 20%-ish percentile, you are a trailblazer. So I think part of my struggles and difficulty also is that I did not have that mindset going in that there would still be a lot of making your own path involved. Just because I assumed that, oh, like there have been women for 30 plus years at this department doing really well. Therefore, the struggles will be different. And that was absolutely not the case.
Which is so interesting too, because that's like almost the polar opposite of my train of thought. When I went down into my sleeper program, I got accepted into a department in like the Central Oregon area where I was a student for them. I worked for them full-time plus some.
Didn't they make a rule about working after you left?
Yeah. We'll get into that. But I worked for them plus a little extra. I lived at the fire station full-time and they paid for me to go to medic school. Honestly, the trade-off was pretty great. Especially because I was young and I was all in and I didn't mind that I was burning myself into the ground just to get to where I am now. But when I went down and got into that program, there were two things that I was trying to overcome. The first thing was that in my interview, my interviewer told me, he said, well, Natalie, you know, we've never had a homeschooler make it through this program all the way.
What?
And I was like, okay, guy. I see.
All right.
And the second thing was that they had never had a female completely make it all the way through.
Oh, shoot. I don't remember you telling me that.
So I was lucky enough that I had a fellow female student who was already there. She was going through the program. She had been there for, I think, coming up on 2 years. And she was a stud. She was great. She really, I think, made things easier for me by just a little bit. But there was still that looming over my head of like, okay, like there was never a question in my mind that Shayna was going to make it all the way through. But it was like, okay, like there is still that overarching theme of, you know,
Something to prove.
Yeah. So that's funny because like, yeah, you thought, oh, like, you know, it might be a little bit easier for me. And I was just like, all right, this is going to be so hard. So when you got started, you didn't have that empowering moment that I got to have, like, from my first experience. Was there any point during your academy, during your probation, where you were just so wrestling with the idea of quitting? You were just like, you didn't have like that background that I did. What was that like for you?
You know, it's funny, looking back, I also don't know why I didn't like reach out to you and Emily more. Maybe it was because I knew you both were dealing with your own stuff within it, but that's like just occurring to me now. I mean,
but also big sister. You're 16 years older than me. I'm sure you felt like, why am I going to go to my younger sister for advice? She's 19. What does she know? Seriously, what do 19-year-olds know? Not a single thing, let me tell you that.
Oh my god, I love that. Yeah, that's just like a funny note to myself looking back. I think what really served me well, probably honestly what made a massive difference for me, was the fact that I had been a life coach for so long, because I very much understood that mindset is everything, and that if you couldn't see yourself doing it, or you struggled with the emotional velocity and intensity of something, it would continue to be a challenge for you. So I used that arson very much every day that I was in academy, and I also had access to one of a really good friend who was a coach, and when I had events that were really awful in academy, things that I had a really difficult time overcoming, she helped me basically like create a visualization to neutralize the experience. So I never was great at backing up anything. And, even though we grew up learning how to drive a
15
passenger van, that's like a larger vehicle than most people, and I did drive an ambulance, I even had a really difficult time backing up an ambulance. So the very first day, we backed our engines into the bays. Have I told you this story?
I don't think you have, but I've seen those bays, and
they're tight!
They're so small.
They have like 5 engines side by side in these bays that are like at points probably 2-3 inches apart from the wall to the rear view mirror, and then the rear view mirrors can be like 2 inches apart, so it's very tight. You're brand new. You've never done this before. You've never backed someone else up before.
You're bad at backing up an ambulance.
Exactly. And so I went in with anxiety already, and it's the end of the day, so we're tired, and it was my turn to back in the engine. So I started backing in the engine, and this person who was trying to back me up, it was his first time. He didn't either know what he was doing. So he was giving me these cues of what I needed to do, and I was like, knew I needed to follow him, but also it wasn't making sense to me. So I would adjust for what I thought, and then he would try to correct me. Long story long, it took me 45 freaking minutes.
Oh my god.
By the 20-minute mark, everyone is watching. We all have to go in together. It was probably one of the most humiliating experiences of my life. Finally, my trainer, Robbie, and I just have to shout out to Robbie because he won Trainer of the Year this year.
Nice.
And I attribute basically like most of my success
I think I have met Robbie.
to Robbie.
Of course. Oh, that makes so much sense.
Because he came in as an athletic trainer. So he like had experience training athletes, and he could like translate that experience for me into like firefighting terms. So anyway, he gets in the engine and he's like, okay, take a deep breath. Like, he saw that, like, I was literally, like, crying.
Yeah.
And I was so frustrated and so upset. So I take a deep breath. And he, like, worked on guiding me through things. And probably, like, 7 minutes go by, and he's like, you know what? Let's pick this up tomorrow. I'm going to back it in. I'm going to let you reset. We'll figure this out. But I didn't get it backed in that day. And so I had this, like, massive anxiety and humiliation around this. I went home and I, like, practiced backing up with my wagon, which is nowhere near the size.
But it's something. You know?
It was something, though. And then I talked to my coach friend, and she was like, okay, so remember, like, we have to, like, memories have these emotional experiences. So when you go to the very same environment and the very same situation, the body is going to react. Like, there is a cue already there and a pattern. So we have to essentially break that. So to do this, she had me visualize how I would feel at the end when I had accomplished that. So, you know, like, not the doing it, not the just after, like, how my seat felt, but the emotional experience, like how proud I would feel and how accomplished I would feel and how relieved I would feel, and, like, visualize myself in that environment.
Good advice.
With those emotional cues. And so, and then when I was going to do, like, practice and do that again, I took the 30 seconds to, like, build out this visualization and then got in the seat to do it. And that served me over and over and over again in academy with difficult things, because I didn't have to relive, like, a traumatic experience over and over trying to get new results. I was able to just, like, totally disconnect, treat this situation as its own standalone, and then see myself as already having done it. So finally learned how to back in a rig. Fast forward almost 6 years later, I can do it no problem.
I would hope so.
There are some people who still, like,
can't.
really can't, and that's totally
God.
okay. So my experience and, like, resources as a coach, I think, were literally the reason why I got through that. But of course, like, my quitting never was, my thoughts around quitting was never due to frustration or, like, it was truly about, can I do this or not? So those visualizations really helped my ability to kind of move forward in a way that I felt like I could do it in those moments, even if I couldn't. And funny enough, I actually applied that visualization practice very specifically when we had our our finals and our tests, right? Evolution tests. And I was the only person in my academy class who passed all of our evaluations without a fail.
Okay.
And it was not, like, my trainers called me a player, because I would, like, massively F up and be, like, a freaking disaster 70% of the time. And then the day before evaluations, like, somehow pull it together.
Yeah.
And then on evaluation day, it was, like, 3-pointers.
Would you say you're, like, a good test taker?
No.
No? Okay.
Nope.
So this was something new.
This was something altogether new. But that was really cool. I think, as we'll get into in later episodes, my thoughts around quitting ended up having to do with, do I like this environment?
Okay.
Being in my 6-month probation, I had the unfortunate experience of being a part of a sexual harassment violation, scandal, whatever, and so I had to sign, like, non-disclosures that I couldn't talk to anybody about it. So here, as you can imagine, probation is already stressful enough, let alone something on top of that, that I felt like the reality of a woman getting through her whole career without something like that was, like, next to nil, right? Like, everyone probably would have had something. But I was not prepared for the idea that it would be, whilst I wasn't even a permanent sworn member, that would happen.
Yeah. People know things about you before you even walk in or meet them. Like.
Yes. So that was very...
and it's already a frat house. Like, people already spread things. I can't imagine what that feeling.
I mean, that's something that, like, I did talk to you about, because I was so frustrated and upset that I had to walk in every day to this environment that something happened and basically pretend like it didn't happen.
And you were a floater.
And then after training, I was a floater. Right. So I feel like my growth was in really developing a sense of not caring about what people think of me, which I think that's been like my Achilles heel my whole life in a very big way.
Yeah.
So I was forced to grow in that, and also at the same time growing in my sense of like, can I do this as a career? Can I do this as building a sense of belonging? Can I do this? And so that was really interesting that the first part, the difficult part of my story with the skill building was never really a dynamic. It really started after my true career began.
So you've been in...
So it's 5.5 years now.
5.5 years. So at what point over the course of your 5.5 year journey, did you feel like those thoughts of maybe you should quit? When did you feel like those went away? Were those gone by the time you finished probation? By the time you started floating? Like, was that just mostly an isolated academy feeling?
No.
You're like, just one bad day away. One bad day away.
I think also going into the career field older, you have a sense of like you're not, what do they say when you're 20? You have a sense of like invincibility. When you're in your mid-30s, that is so far gone. Like, you're just one bad wake up from, a sprained neck. Yeah. So the like physicality of how long can my body do this, I think is very real. And I think that's also why the average retirement age for women in the fire service is 15 years.
Oh, I didn't know it was that low.
That low. And a lot of it, we get breast cancer at like 300% higher than women in civilian populations. And then women are just more emotionally, energetically like sensitive. So PTSD is such a real thing from that accumulative secondhand trauma. It's not even, necessarily firsthand trauma, but also the known statistics around female retention are truly about that, the extra things we have to deal with as women in fire, and the lack of belonging that is often there.
The toxicity.
Yes, exactly. And finding your way through the boys' club, that's a pretty intense trifecta.
Yeah. 15 years. Wow.
Yeah. But, if I have so much hope that next generation, it will be different, because I have seen, like, men who are in this new wave of firefighters going through academy. They are a lot more receptive. It's almost like they expect women to be in the fire service. And so that's really cool. They have less of this, like, machismo, and that expectation, I think, really helps in just smoothing out that the challenges that maybe the generation prior felt with like proving themselves. There still is that question of belonging, which, for straight women, that is a really different conversation and experience, because I think men can just be more cautious. The dudes are going to talk to each other in a way that they're never going to talk to me. So I have found that developing connection and relationships with men and women in the fire service in a really like deep way are my tethers. So on the days that I feel like, God, how long can I survive this job? Those are the things, those relationships are what like keep me grounded.
That midnight call rage.
Exactly, yeah. Which I'm developing apparently more and more as time goes on.
Oh, there's that feeling in your chest, the lights go on, and sometimes you just feel a little snap and you're like, is this it?
My gosh, funny story. I haven't told you this. So just this last double, we were on our fourth call after midnight, and or fourth call since I went to bed. And there was this old guy that we had been on before, and he was in bad shape. It came in as I think a cardiac, but he had a broken shoulder and a broken arm. He was in bed. He couldn't move. He was shaking. Oh, wow. So it came in as a stroke. He thought he might be having a stroke. And he was, I don't know, I think 75, something like that. So we're like, all right, what's going on, yada yada. So he tells us, well, if you wait 5 minutes, I can get my friend who knows all my medical history to come by and tell you. And my medic was like, I don't think that's necessary, but let's get you moving. Do you want to go to the hospital? He says yes. So then he's like, but I think I need a drink of water first. And that was just the start of, but I need to do this first, but I need to do this first. And can you get this? And can this happen? And can this? And this has never happened to me before.
Oh boy.
I'm wearing a mask because he happens to have a fever. And so he's like, oh, well, I want to put on my socks. We're about to send, oh, I'm so cold. Can I put on my socks? I'm like, let's not. You have, you don't have carpet, so we don't want you to slip. So he's like, wait, well, let me put on my shoes. Okay, so I go to get the shoes. Oh, wait, I need my pants first. Can you get these pants? And he starts to put on his jeans.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, do you have some sweats? That might be easier. No, I want it. So he starts putting on his jeans. Can't do it. He needs help. And I'm like, this is a bad idea. Can we get you sweats? Yeah, okay, fine. The closet over there.
Oh boy.
It's one thing after another, after another, after another. I had my mask on, so throw back to the COVID days where most of your expression could be masked, literally. But the final straw for me was he wanted an additional sweater. So he's already dressed, but he wants an additional sweater. So I go to get him a sweater. I come out. He's like, oh, no, not that sweater, the green one. I specifically did not see a green sweater, in my looking at all of the
things.
It's
never where they say it is.
No, it's not. And he turns away from me to start trying to stand up, and I look at my medic and I'm just and normally in my crew I'm the tolerant, long enduring one, and I was about to lose it with this guy. He just did not want to listen. He did not. He wanted what he wanted, and I was gonna lose it at that 2:45 a.m. moment.
Oh, that's the worst window too. It's really the 2 to 4.
It's so hard sometimes. Anyway, that happened. My midnight rage apparently is developing. So yeah, it's been a really interesting growth. I've never had a sphere that I feel like I've had to grow as much as the fire service. Have you felt in your, because you came in feeling like you had something to prove. I am not that kind of person. I really don't care, if I want to do something, I'm going to do it. I don't have to prove to you.
Yeah.
So that's a really different angle to start going into your career. Do you feel that tainted or made you feel like you wanted to quit at any point early on?
No. Honestly, I
love that.
Yeah. It was because I'd seen so many women who had already done it. And so I was I knew that I could. And I did feel like I had something to prove. But in that, I also wasn't I like to say that I'm not a super competitive person. And then, then people give me that.
Runner.
People give, I'm not fast. I don't try to win. I do it for fun. But, I tell people, I'm not a very competitive person, and everybody laughs at me. And I go, I'm not competitive. I'm not competitive with other people, but I'm competitive with myself.
You just want to be the best.
No. I have this really firm belief in myself that I know what I can do, and I know that I can do it well. And the well is on a very high standard, so it's not that I'm when I was down there.
Says the girl who set records in her academy class.
We don't need to get into that.
Oh, sorry. Not her class, but for the history of the department.
As I was saying, I didn't feel like I had to be better than other people. I felt like I had to be better than I was yesterday. I felt like...
Be your best self.
I felt like I needed to be, like, perfect. And to be honest, I mean, you're 19, 20, 21. You have that thought of you are invincible, like you were talking about earlier. So I felt like I could be perfect because, like, I was like, I am good at this. My cadet experience kind of helped dial my skills a little bit so that I wasn't fumbling as much as everybody else. But so like every day I wasn't trying to be better than the person next to me. I was just trying to like be better than myself, kind of a thing. So there was at like no point during my academy or my time at La Pine that I thought that I was going to quit. To be honest with you, like that whole experience was so hard, and it was so draining and taxing, and like the amount of hours that I put in for like what I was being paid, and you know, all of that, just keeping my eye on the prize of there's a career job at the end of this, there is a career job at the end of this. I like would have I never quite thought about it until like this moment, but like when I was down in that program, it was either like I was either going to die or I was going to finish. There was no in between.
That sounds like an ultra runner.
There was no, I mean, yeah, when you're out in the wilderness by yourself and you're like, well, I'm 23 miles into a 32-mile race.
Gross.
Like, you know, next aid station is 6 miles away and you're out of water. You're like, well, nope, you just gotta go, you know? But yeah, like there was like, I wanted to because it was the easy way out, and it was like, oh, like, actually, I take that back. There was no point that I actually wanted to quit. I truly did believe that the only way was to get through it.
The only way was through? Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
What a difference that foundation made.
It was, like, yeah.
How do you think you're different now than you were from that precocious, precious 16-year-old who started? Because this is marking 10 years.
I'm coming up on 10 years.
Oh my god.
Yeah, fire camp would have been like next week 10 years ago.
Oh,
yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and you know, I was as we're talking about that first fire camp, I was thinking about it, and like one of the cool things that really like wrapped up the full picture of fire camp on that last day was that last day there was a female there who we were all eating lunch, and then somebody goes, "Hey guys, it's Stephanie's last day on probation. Let's celebrate." Like, so she just made it through, and she was like getting her house or like starting floating, and it was like, look guys, like it's, you know, like you can do it, kind of a thing. Like, just get through probation is what everybody says. I forget what your last question was.
Oh,
how I'm different.
Yeah, how you're different.
10 years? Oh my god.
But 10 years, wow.
10 years, yeah.
I mean, 16 to 26 is like several life stages different too.
Yeah. I feel like I've, like, I was in, you know, I had fire camp, and then I was in a fire cadet program with Portland. And then my senior year of high school, I got involved in a second cadet program that we met 5 days a week, for like 3.5 hours a day with a different department. And then I leave both of those departments and go down to another one in Central Oregon, and then I come back. And I feel like at every stage, each department that I've gone to, I've just like, you know, grown into the next version of myself. And so like looking back and seeing like where I started and how far I've come, you know, I feel like I've gotten to the point of where, you know, 10 years, a lot of work. I feel like I'm finally, like, kind of growing into this job in a relaxed way. I feel like as I've gone to each department, you know, like, in the beginning it was all fire camp, rah-rah, you know, empowerment, we can do this. And then going through, like, the cadets was like, okay guys, this is like a little bit of like what it will be like to go into like this job, like for real, you know, here's the IFSTA 5th edition, we're gonna have weekly tests on it, like know it, and then, getting into La Pine and I'm 19 and I have something to prove and I'm like, yes, like I'm going to get through this because no other females made it through, And then I get through that and then I'm in A&P because I came in with prerequisites. So like I had done my first year of schooling, I go straight into A&P and then it's medic school and then it's surviving medic school and I am going to finish medic school because I am going to be the first female to make it all the way through. And then, I finished medic school and they offered me a job and I worked for them full time as like the first like full-time career woman down there. And then I only worked for them for like 2 months before I got hired up here. And then I came up here and then I'm back in academy, but this time I have 3 years of experience. So like,
you could crush it. You could kill it.
I can do it, and but also still feeling like I have something to prove because I'm somewhere new. If you have all this experience and you're a female, are you, you say you have experience, but are you that good?
Yeah.
Because you still are a female.
Yeah.
So getting through that academy and doing well, and then being on probation, and again, probation again, and then FGO again, and surviving the 3 years in the floater pool. And I've been at my house for a year now, and I had this moment, actually literally this last shift, where I feel like I've gone through different stages of burnout over the years, because you're working so hard and you're overcompensating because you do have to work that much harder as a female. It never ends. And I had this moment this last shift of we had this fire that was across the street from the station that we literally saw out the window, like, oh fuck, jump in the rig and we go and we're right there. And I was the AO, and I remember we got back to the station, get cleaned up, everything, eat dinner, and I sit down and I had this thought as I was sitting there and I was like, I've been at this department we just had our 4-year anniversary. And then I was at La Pine for 3 years before that. So I've been in this for 7 years. And I'm 26. And I had this moment as I was sitting. And I was like, I like my job. For the first time, I feel like I got this. I had this moment where I was just filled with this piece of I like my job. I don't really feel like I have anything to prove anymore. I feel like I'm settled. I've been in this house for almost a year now. And I was almost that feeling of I made it, that I really, in all of the stages I worked for to get to. And now I'm here and it's this is what that feels like.
But you had so much gratitude, that hindsight of...
Yeah. And looking back and being wow, that was a long 7 years.
Yeah.
But it all started at 16 at a girls' fire camp, surrounded by women who were yeah, you can be here one day too.
What's super interesting about this with your journey is you had maybe an external spark, but you had to have so much intrinsic drive still.
I did it all by myself. I say all by myself. I had the support of the other women, but our family wasn't super into female empowerment, and they didn't believe in feminism, which is a crazy thing to say, right? But coming from a family that doesn't believe in feminism and had all of these ideas of you're going to be a homemaker and a stay-at-home mom and all of this stuff, and at 16 being I'm going to be a firefighter, I'm going to be a paramedic, and dealing with all of those loopholes of trying to convince my parents, can I please be a cadet? Can I please be a cadet? No. And then dealing with all of that. And then my last year of high school, joining a program that they didn't necessarily want me to be a part of. And then I moved away to be a part of a program that they didn't want me to be a part of. And it was all in here, I really had to find that in myself, but it got lit at fire camp.
Incredible.
Yeah. You had to draw from yourself too. The same way that I did. And you've seen yourself grow through all of the similar stages, I would assume.
Yeah.
Right? What were those like for you?
It's like you mentioned earlier, almost dealing with growing through perpetual opportunities for burnout. I think because I had some like health things before I started in the fire service that I don't feel like physically I'm as resilient as the average person, and I have to put a lot into recovery. But then emotionally, I'm a very sensitive person, and like people, social dynamics and energy really affect me as well. So I think that through my career, I've had to put a lot more weight into that aspect, that it's not just the job, or it's not just the bad nights. It's not just, floating. It really, there has been such a piece, or calls even, there's been such a component of having all these people that you're working with and their different energies and the different like things that affect them also. I've identified as being a lot more sensitive to, and so I feel like my growth as a person has just been this like roller coaster of a journey, because I have had to learn how to not let other people's energy affect me as much. And what does it mean to like protect my values and my energy and my sleep, and having that be so counterculture, it was so baffling to me at a year and a half in that people just say the job means not sleeping. Like, nobody tried to figure out how to make that better for themselves. Blew my mind.
Yeah, they just accepted it.
I could not believe it after all my health struggles. And so, like, I was known as the sleep girl, and I really didn't even care, because I knew from a very, like, palpable reality that if we don't take care of our health, everything else we're going to lose. And so, I feel like even with this last year, it was so cool that we both got our stations at the same time.
Yeah,
like that was
cool.
That was a really fun, like, thing to experience together. And even looking back now, that same sense that there are so many things that have settled, but at the same time, there are still things that I feel like I'm dealing with in the aspect of people who like to create drama or, toxic masculinity that still rears its ugly head. And I have new opportunities to face that challenge in a different way. And I think I had a moment where I was just like, I wish I did this better. I wish this didn't bother me the same way as it did like a year ago. Like, it still feels like work to reframe and get my mindset right around and not let it bother me. And so I think that what I've discovered about this job is similar, that every phase prior did build upon, like, the season that you're in was built upon the prior season, right? But even with that, there are themes that I've seen myself experience that haven't gone away. And so as much as I feel settled and I feel like I've grown into who I am so much more because of and as a result of this job, I still feel like there's so much growth that I have to do, and sometimes that's discouraging. So this job has never ceased to surprise me, in the sense that we have to grow and we have to evolve so much. And I think that's why you and I also both are such proponents of therapy and like doing inner work, because I don't know how one goes about not just surviving, but like flourishing in the fire service as a woman without those additional resources and learning how to resource yourself. I think for my career, will have a love-hate relationship being in the fire service, to be honest, because it is just so filled with incredible challenges that every day there's a new challenge. And I think you just have to become comfortable with the idea that there will always be a challenge and there will always be something to learn and grow in and from. And so if you are growth oriented, like that serves you really well. But as you've seen, whether you're 16 and getting in or 35 and getting in, have a lot of support or don't have as much support. It just demands you to be the best version of yourself. So I personally am looking forward to this season because
it's going to be fun.
You and I, with our age difference, you being in your 20s, me being in my 40s, with us having very different personalities, hobbies, the way we started, I think that the themes that we'll uncover of what we agree upon to be like primary big issues and how someone can like get through that in a way that is healthy and healthful will be really valuable.
I think so. I hope it will be. Yeah.
So, with that said, what do people have to look forward to in our conversations ahead?
Hobbies. We're going to talk about our hobbies.
And why. They are valuable and needed.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about training. Obviously, I have so many questions that I want to highlight about your ultra running.
Oh, God.
Because if there's one thing that I really wish I could do as a person, it would be running. And nothing in me will change this so far.
Yeah. And I'll be excited, too, to get into, like, some medical stuff, like, too. Like, I'm a medic, and you're not. That's, like, another one of those things that are different, right?
Yeah.
So my experience of going through was very different than yours, right? And I think that it also kind of plays into our personalities in the firehouse, too, because I'm a medic. When I'm on scene, I'm PC. I'm in charge. That's my patient. Yeah. Versus you're the EMT, I know.
I'm the
BLS
adorable
saves
sidekick.
ALS. Yeah, you
I'm
come
the
in with your
adorable
little backpack, blood pressure, take a manual, all that. You do what I tell you to do, you know? So, like, when you're at the firehouse, you don't have as big of an ego as I do. You're happy to kind of do as you're told and be a people pleaser and all of that. I argue with AMR on scene. I disagree with people, and I'm in charge, and this is my patient. And that really, I think, plays into my personality at the fire station. Because
changes the experience.
I don't really feel the need to people please as much.
Yeah.
And, like, I know more than you. So, like, not
like
you.
A true baby sister.
Not like more than you, but I mean, like,
No,
I know
it's true.
more than, like, some people at the station, like the EMTs, are the people who try to, like, pick fights or arguments or, like, men being men. Yes. And I'm just over here like, okay, sure. And, like, just being a chill person.
Well, I gotta say, this will be so fun, especially because it's been in this journey such an awesome thing to have my baby sister as someone to look up to and to see just like them being able to thrive so much. It truly has also inspired me that like my baby sister can do it, like I can do it too. So it'll be really fun to give people just that back end view of we're so connected, and I think that's so needed in the fire service. So
I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fun.
We'll look forward to the next episode.